Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Ange.
Hello, everyone out there. We are from Witchbeam, the indie developer that made the game Unpacking.
We were responsible for all of the audio in Unpacking. We're going to do a little video here about some of the behind-the-scenes tricks of the trade, little secrets about how we put all of the sound together.
So, Jeff.
Yes, Ange.
What is Unpacking?
Well, let me tell you. Unpacking is a Zen game about the familiar experience of pulling possessions out of boxes and fitting them into a new home. It's part puzzle, part decoration. You create a satisfying living space while learning clues about the life you're unpacking. Over 8 different house moves, you gain a sense of intimacy with a character you never see and a story you never told. Okay, Ange, so what were some of the challenges that we came across when we're doing the audio on this?
From the very start, we realized that the game was a narrative-driven story where you have no dialogue, you never meet the character, and the entire story is told through the places she lives, her belongings. In fact, the unpacking of the belongings is the entire gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we knew that it was going to be really dense in terms of Foley sound and ambient sound to really create an immersive environment.
It's such a chill game. There's so much space to hear a lot of detail in the sound. And it was a nice juxtaposition to the pixel art, because the pixel art is sort of impressionistic, you know what I mean? And there's sort of a bit of missing visual detail, and that's the charm of pixel art.
And for it to sound really real.
Exactly.
So those two paired together worked really well.
One thing that defines the feel of a house that you're moving into is the sound of the environment around it. And that might be the sound of the suburbs that you're in, or maybe the house is downtown. And so actually the environmental sounds is traffic and horns and cars, right? But it can also be the sound of people walking on the floor upstairs. Tim, the programmer on Unpacking, added the concept of the time of day. So say in the initial level, the child's room, imagine they arrived late morning and starting moving into the house. And as you're putting stuff away, the afternoon starts to happen, like at about 3 p.m., to give that sense of time of day from an audio point of view. I added the sound of a school letting its kids out, and all the kids are going home from school, so you can hear the school bell, you can hear a neighbor starts to mow their lawn and turns on a sprinkler, and it's all really subtle. I mean, the idea was not to make this super obvious, but if you stop and listen, you can hear the environment sort of evolve as the time of day changes. So, Ange, the Foley in Unpacking was such a huge, massive task. But does everybody know what Foley even means?
That's a good question. Foley is the reproduction of everyday sounds in movies and TV and games. We knew that Foley was going to be fundamental to Unpacking because it's such a huge part of the gameplay.
Like what were some of the numbers like that we were looking at?
There was 500 items approximately, 15 different surfaces. We wanted to have about 10 variations so that it really sounded natural. So the simple math was 75,000 individual files that needed to be recorded, processed, and edited and implemented. And
it was way too much,
So the challenge for the Foley really was coming up with some really cool ideas for how to get that number down while still keeping this beautiful organic variance and breadth of sound.
There's different, say, coffee cups in the game. And rather than going, okay, we need this kind of coffee cup and this kind of coffee cup and this one, we realized that we could record something called ceramic, and we had like ceramic light, medium, and heavy. And by doing that and sharing those sounds amongst anything that was made out of ceramic, we didn't have to record nearly as many items. But there was something else we did to make use of the generics.
An example of that is our pencil holder. And no matter what surface you put it on, the pencils rattle. We had just thought we would have to record those items across all 15 surfaces until we came up with the brilliant idea that we could break that up into 2 sounds and use our generics. So if we do that with the pencils, got our generic, it's already recorded on 15 surfaces, and then we just recorded the rattling of the pencils once.
It's a separate sound. There are 2 sounds played at once.
Yeah.
One is the cup being placed down, and then the secondary sound, the sweetener rattling.
Is the pencils rattling.
Yeah.
Once we realized we could do that, we could also make those things shake.
Yep. And that's actually one of my favorite things to do in the game. Pick up an item and give it a little shake.
Give it a good shake.
And we put a lot of time into getting that right on the technical side. We configured it and programmed it quite complicated, but in the end, it makes it feel really natural because we're detecting how hard are you shaking it. It's very satisfying. Like, you have a very satisfying sound in there. What was your favorite in there? That was...
My favorite's the hot water bottle.
Yeah.
When you shake the hot water bottle, it makes you feel like it's winter and it's all cozy and you're getting ready to go to bed. It brings that world to life. Now we're going to get into some really nitty-gritty tech nerd stuff.
Nerdy stuff, yes. I love nerdy stuff, especially to do with game audio. One of the layers of putting audio into a game is the audio implementation. And an example of that is adding sort of 3D effects to things. Or to clarify, positional audio is also what is referred to. And a good example of that in the game is when you turn on a music player and it's playing music, and then you change rooms in the game, the sound of the music gets quieter, it gets panned over to like the right or left speaker, it gets muffled sounding, like it's going through the wall. And it really gives you that feeling like you're in a big house and the sound is happening in that room really far away. And then when you finally move back into that same room, it gets nice and clear and loud again.
So moving away from turbo nerd sort of mode and on to music and the soundtrack.
The first thing was to find a style of music that was going to gel with the pixel art. And I think the obvious choice there was to go with a chiptunes kind of style, get those square waves going. I named the songs after the bookmarks in this person's life. When she moves in with her roommates, that song's called Friends for Life. When she moves in with her first partner, I called that song Infatuation. The main thing it's trying to do is support the narrative and what is happening to our main character throughout her life. Each level has a music player, while the background music represents sort of the high level. The music player represents the kind of music she's into at that any given time.
Which is ultimately also tied to a sort of year.
Yeah, and genre.
A genre of pop music.
Yeah, of that time.
Of that time, yeah.
I quite liked putting the sound of the different consoles in the game. Not only the console machines themselves, but then also we created a bunch of games that don't exist. There is a little preview of the next upcoming Witchbeam game. The game's called Tempopo. So that's something to look out for, actually.
Sneak peek.
A little sneak peek.
So we're wrapping up now because we are
Starving.
absolutely starving.
We've been talking about food in between all these takes this whole time, and you won't believe the kind of pizza we're about to make. So you feed me something to get me going on that, like a cheeseburger.
It's funny that some of the things that you want all have the word cheese first. cheeseburger, cheesecake, just cheese.
I'm a cheesy guy.
Smoked cheese.
You notice I bought some?
I did notice you bought some. Okay, you ready?
Have we ordered the pizzas yet?
Smoked
Cheese pizza.
Cheese pizza.
Smoked cheese pizza. Ooh.
With pepperoni.
Ooh. Oh.
All right, Jeff, I think that's about it. I think we've covered all the audio in Unpacking.
Yep, I agree. That was a lot of fun kind of revisiting it all. Feels really good to share with you guys, and I hope you liked it, and we'll be talking to you soon. See ya.